Hi there. So I just wanted to go through some of the statuses that I've posted on social media, on my social media platforms, Telegram, MeWe, mostly. I'm also on Gab and I'm on Minds. And over the last, I would say 2 or 3 weeks, I've posted a few statuses and I'd just like to read them out for you, for those people who don't follow me on any of those social media platforms, and discuss them a little bit. So here is the first one. And this was in response to a question. Dear Magenta, I thank you for your teachings on the black crystals, but I am feeling like I am giving my power away when I wear my crystal to be safe. Should we not be able to do this ourselves and not rely on the crystals for protection? Really good question. So here is my reply. Please go back and watch my videos on the black flame and the black crystal work, and listen to the channeling from the 9 regarding the black flame, as you have misunderstood. You absolutely do give your power away if you decide that wearing a crystal will protect you. The crystal is not protecting you. It is simply amplifying your own signal. However, crystals are so powerful that they program themselves as generators for our matrix fields through the aware consciousness of humanity's telepathic broadcasts. If you feel you're not quite at the place yet where you can rely on your own inner work to create the hermetic seal you need against this AI technology that is now being generated by our loved ones who have seen Maxine, then the black crystals and some very dark green and very dark red ones are programmed with the frequency needed to assist us to create that shield. If you can use your own inner work in a balanced and empowered way, then the crystals amplify that for you. It's simply like putting a booster on your TV or Wi-Fi. Just a second, my dog wants to come in. Come on then. Come on, in you come. Do you want to say hello? Come in. Scampy's come to say hello. Quickly. Look, it just might be picked up. Say hello. Look, say hello. Hello, everyone. All right, then you're going to go on the fluffy rug. Go on then. Go on the fluffy rug. Good boy. Yeah, going to sit on the fluffy rug. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you have animals. Just decided he wanted to come in here at this moment. Okay, if you can use your own inner work in a balanced and empowered way, then the crystals amplify that for you. It's simply like putting a booster on your TV or Wi-Fi, and to be honest, we need the strongest energetic signal we can achieve at this point. Crystals are tools, and powerful ones at that, but they are not intended to replace one's own power, but to work in synergy with it through amplification of your own energetic broadcast. The Crystal Kingdom left their earthly homes to be here for us now, at this time. Despite the Crystal Kingdom being plundered against their will in some areas, which is a whole other topic, for further clarification on our own innate power and the use of crystals, please see my recent interview with Elizabeth April, as this very subject is discussed. So that was my status a couple of weeks ago. Not much more to really say about that, because it's pretty self-explanatory, but I do feel that perhaps people had seen some of my posts, either videos or some of these statuses on social media, and they had presumed, as I'm talking so much about crystals and showing people the black crystals, I think they had presumed that I was saying the crystal will protect you. Now, like I said in this status, that's true to a point, because the individuals who are aware of the power of crystals, specifically the black crystals and the dark red and the dark green, specific to the whole Jezebel Juice program, those individuals hold a very high broadcast signal through their thought process and their energetic matrix. And that connects with crystals, because the crystalline DNA within the awakened human is a match to those crystals within this sort of quantum entanglement field, they become unified with the crystals, and the crystals pick up the broadcast. I mean, they pick up multiple imprints from all over. So if a crystal is in your house, it will pick up imprints from the people in the house. If a crystal is in your own room, it will pick up imprints from the person that's in that room. But they also pick up the collective imprint, especially when it's focused. So we have lots and lots of light workers and star seeds and truth aware individuals who are focused in this thought process, and that programs the crystals. So for someone who doesn't understand at all about crystals, they're still going to get some level of protection, if you will, from those crystals. Now, protection is a word that has a whole sort of story behind it in a spiritual sense, anyway. If you think something is protecting you, then that suggests there's something to be protected from, which then is disempowering. However, it's also true on a 3D level. There is something we need to protect ourselves from. So both of those are true. And you know, you can take either of those viewpoints. My advice is to embrace both of them. So if you know nothing at all about any of this, you're still going to get some shielding. Let's use the word shielding, which is more appropriate. You're still going to get some shielding. And especially children, you're not going to sit down and explain the whole black flame and the whole Jezebel juice program to your children unless they're of a certain age. Like my dog that's just come in right now, if I decide my dog is going to go and stay with someone and there may be Jezebel juice within that household, I might decide that I'm going to, I don't know, wash my dog with shungite soap, or give my dog an obsidian crystal collar, or use a spray around my dog. But the dog doesn't necessarily know on a conscious level about the Jezebel juice program. The dog will be picking up imprints in an animalistic way, which is different from the crystals. But the animal, dog, cat, horse, rabbit, whatever, will still be getting benefit. And in many ways, animals are far more receptive because they don't have any blocks there at all. So they're fully in tune with energetic healing. We once adopted a cat. It was 9 months old and it had been badly treated previously. And the poor cat was just so depressed and shell shocked. And it was almost like he'd lost the will to live. And all he would do is sit there and stare at a wall. He didn't even want to look at any of us. He wouldn't eat. And I was thinking, how are we going to help this cat? And I started to look into the flower remedies, bark flower remedies. And I found one remedy which was for shock, suicidal thoughts, grief, all those things. And I gave that flower remedy to my cat. I didn't sit down and say to the cat, oh, this is a flower remedy and it's going to work against your trauma, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know if it would even work, but it was literally a miracle. And our cat, within 2 days, was a changed cat. And I had a friend who'd seen the cat when we first adopted him. And, you know, she was very worried and wondered how on earth we were going to help this cat. And 2 days later, couldn't believe it, literally couldn't believe it. He's like a different cat. And, you know, we had him for like 10 years and he was an amazing cat and loved us and was confident. And you could tell that there was some residue there of that trauma, but it was mostly overshadowed by this newfound connection. And the bark flower remedy, I believe it was white chestnut or sweet white chestnut. I'm pretty sure it was one of those two. It might have been sweet white willow. I mean, this was years ago, but the energy within that bark flower remedy, which is energetic healing, it's homeopathic healing, the cat just connected to that frequency. So it's the same with the crystals. But that doesn't mean that when I say use these black crystals or dark red or dark green, that I'm saying you must rely on a crystal. Now, it is difficult to not do that. And I myself have succumbed to that because I'm aware of the rogue signal. I'm aware of the Jezebel juice program and what it's doing energetically, I had got to the place where I wouldn't say I was relying on my crystal, but I wasn't in fear without it, but I just felt it was highly, highly important that I wore my black crystal whenever I left my house, or if anyone was coming around to my house that might have been in the Jezebel Juice program. Um, so much so that it was becoming just a major thing for me. I'm like, where's my crystal? Oh, I'll wear this one. So I don't feel that there was any fear. I feel for me personally, it was just, this is what I must do. I have to create the shield. But if you did watch my interview with Elizabeth April, which I do mention in this status, we talk about this, and this topic was discussed, and she comes from a different perspective that I do absolutely embrace, although my perspective sort of shifts a little bit, let's say. But there's no disharmony there, as far as I'm concerned, and I know that Elizabeth feels the same. And I think it's really good for two individuals who are teaching spiritually to come together and show their own perspectives. So it was interesting because Elizabeth obviously was talking very much about empowerment and self-empowerment and not relying on crystals, basically saying everything I'm saying, that crystals are wonderful. She has her own crystal line, and she was saying how fantastic they were, and she loved shungite, but she was also saying exactly what I'm saying here, that you don't rely on them. And I was agreeing with her completely. And I went away from that interview agreeing with her. But then something really interesting happened. The very next day, I got two shungite pendants, two obsidian pendants, and some of my silver jewelry, which I have had for a long time. And I hung them up on this little hook, and they'd been there for a while, and I had to do something quickly. So I remember getting hold of the bunch of them and moving them to another hook and then carrying on doing what I was doing. When I came back to get them, they had tangled up. So when I took them off the hook, they were all completely tangled. I managed to pull a couple of the silver ones out, but all the black crystals were tangled up together. So I couldn't wear them. They were all tangled. And I remember showing them to Cat's Magic and saying, "Can you detangle my jewelry for me?" And he's like looking at me, what do you think this means? And we had to go out quickly, and I couldn't wear my crystal. And then I thought back, well, I only spoke to Elizabeth April 2 days ago, and she's talking about this. And whilst I'm absolutely resonating with everything she's saying, because that's what the nine have taught me, I clearly wasn't living it fully, because if I was, I wouldn't have had this tangle. This tangle of all my jewelry was a synchronistic sign, or a metaphoric presentation in matter to show me that maybe I needed to look at that again. So I did look at that again, and I thought, do I have any fear of the individuals that are generating this rogue signal, that have partaken in the Jezebel Juice program? And I couldn't feel any fear, but I did feel that the only fear that I found within me was fear of being too involved with these people, as in too close, walking into large groups of individuals that have partaken of Jezebel juice, or having someone in the house for a long time, or hugging someone, or being that close to them. But I didn't feel that that fear was a bad thing. I felt that it was teaching me that that isn't what I must do. And it's not through fear that I must not do this, it's through navigation and self preservation. That's how I see it. But the fact that my necklaces were tangled up after speaking to Elizabeth did make me realize that perhaps I was relying on my jewelry too much. But I resonated with everything she said. As I said, the nine have taught me this. So I'm trying to explain how you can get information from the guidance aspect, the higher consciousness, and understand it intellectually and teach it, but you might not necessarily be living it fully. And what that means for me personally is I need to be okay to go outside and mingle with people who have partaken of Jezebel juice, and not be in fear, and stand strong in my own knowing that I can create that shield through the black flame, and that I don't need a crystal to anchor that work. So that's the knowing I already had. But because my jewelry was all tangled up, I realized I needed to look at this again, as it was a day, 2 days after the interview with Elizabeth. So to me, I thought, okay, I need to look at this again. So I thought, am I relying on my jewelry too much? And if so, I need to move into my own sovereignty and know that I can work with the black flame. That in itself is the true crystal. The matrix field is the true crystal. All the crystals we see are manifested matter of that matrix. So now, when I personally wear a crystal, and I have one of my black, I've got a black obsidian, and that's got the triquetra printed into it, and I wear that alongside this one, you know. So I've got all different ones. I now know that when I wear the crystals, they are a booster signal to what I already have. I don't really want to go out without wearing my black crystals. I like the fact that they are amplifying my signal. And so I feel more shielded. But at the same time, I make sure that I am not relying on them to the point where I'm falling apart if I can't find my crystal, or too scared to go out the front door without my crystal on. I won't let myself go there, but I will allow myself to have these crystals on my person as amplification. But I fully trust that when I go out and mingle with people who have partaken in the Jezebel Juice program, that I can create that black flame myself. But I will go a step further. When somebody comes into my house, you are opening your doors and giving permission, if that person's partaken of Jezebel Juice, you are opening your doors and giving permission for the rogue signal to come into your house. So other things need to be done. And whilst I do feel that I can stand within my own power, if you will, and create that black flame, I absolutely feel that the holding of the black flame through the crystals is crucial for that. And I don't want to allow anyone to come into my house without me wearing my black crystals to amplify the signal, or used shungite soap either before they come or after they go. I want to prepare my space so that when I allow those people into my house, whilst I'm giving permission for my family, because we are only making exception for family here. That's our boundary. When I allow my family in, I'm allowing my family in, and I want to show full love to them. As in, I don't want them to feel as though there's something in them that I don't want to be connected with, even though that's the truth. I know that the mainstream presentation is actually the other way around, and that people are actually, you know, looking at those who haven't drunk the juice that way. But we know what the truth of the matter is. So I don't want them to feel that they have something in them that I don't resonate with. So I'm not showing that. I'm showing them love as if I would if they were not juice drinkers. But the crystals are assisting me with that power, with an amplification of my own signal. And I also have something else here that someone sent me. And this is, oh, it's this one here. Sorry, there it is. This lady did send me, I don't know if I've got it here. Maybe I took it downstairs. So this is a spray. Yeah, the one that I wanted is actually downstairs. So this is a spray, and the lady's name is Emily Jane, and her email is emilyjane39@gmail.com. So she hand makes these sprays, and she's actually got one that is specific for the Jezebel Juice program and the assistance with the shielding, the cleansing of your space. cleansing of all kinds of toxicity, but it works for the Jezebel juice because she's using aromatherapy oils, but also essences and crystal essences. And within the spray, there is obsidian. And so what I used that for was, before we had guests round, I sprayed all around the living room area where they would be sitting. And then after they left, I sprayed more, and also sprayed around my aura. It's actually downstairs because I used it. But it does have obsidian in it, and the lady's name is emilyjane39@gmail.com. So if you write to her, you can ask her about this spray that I'm talking about. I wonder if I have her email here. Yes, I do. So it's Emily Jane's Healing Energetics, and she talks about so it's actually called, and I won't read out the title here because let's just call this the Jezebel Juice Eliminator Elixir. That's what it's called. And yeah, she just sent me a long sort of personal letter here, but I just felt that it was very, very helpful to me. And obviously it's not called the Jezebel Juice Eliminator Elixir. It has a different title, but as I said, I won't read that out. The title begins with V, and the next word begins with P, something that would be toxic to you. So it's just very, very helpful. And I sprayed it around before they came to us and after they went. And when I've run out of the bottle, I will order some more. So I'm not sure if she does actually have a website, though. I thought she did have a website, but can't see one. Oh, yeah, she does have a website. I thought she did. It's www.ejhe, all in lowercase, .co.uk. So that's www.ejhe, lowercase, .co.uk. And her email address is emilyjane39@gmail.com. So, but you don't have to get one of those sprays. I mean, there are many other things that you can do. There are so many different tools, and it's just about creating sacred space within your own space. For example, you could use orgonite and have orgonite pyramids next to a plant or something, or little black obsidian crystal trees. So your guests don't need to know that you are creating sacred space specific to their visit. They don't need to know that. That's something for just you to know, unless they know you really well and they know what you're doing. So the whole point of this particular status is that the crystals, the sprays, any other physical tool doesn't replace your own innate power, and not to rely on those crystals. But having said that, if you feel strongly that you want to hold those crystals either in your hand or wear them, or have them in your pocket, or have them around your person, and you want to, say, burn some kind of cleansing aromatherapy or diffuse aromatherapy oil. For example, I've actually bought some. I know people are talking about pine needle tea as being a potential antidote internally. I've bought some pine needle essential oil, and that would be to create sacred space with, alongside with the spray that has obsidian in. So you can create your own sacred space within your home however you want to. Your boundary may be that you don't allow anyone in the house that has been juiced. You might decide you don't want to do any of this, and that you're going to just embrace the juice, the juiced individuals, just like always, and not look at that in any way as being different. But for me, having worked with the way things are in my own reality and the connection to the nine, I choose to create boundaries without fear. So if someone turns up on my doorstep who's been juiced and I haven't prepared my sacred space, I'm not going to stand there and think, oh no, you can't come in. I haven't sprayed my spray. I'm not wearing my crystal. I haven't put my obsidian pyramid out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to rely in that moment on my own empowerment and the black flame work. And I think this is why it's important to know that we're living this journey in real time. And in the moment, there are going to be many different decisions that we will have to make. And sometimes we will need to make a decision in that moment that's unique to anyone else's experience. And I have people write to me over and over and over again with so many emails and comments saying, what should I do? And they will explain the scenario that they are in. And that's not something I can help with personally. I can only tell you what I would do in that moment. And even then, you can't always tell someone what you'd do in that moment until that moment actually occurs for you. So, yes, we can be forewarned and forearmed and we can be prepared, but we also have to be aware that we are going to have to make decisions in the moment. For example, someone turns up on your doorstep and you haven't prepared your space. You don't want to go into panic and like, you can't come in, I can't see you because you've been juiced, or you may say that might actually be your boundary. That's okay if that's your boundary. It's like, where are your boundaries? What will you allow in your space, whether you're out of the house or in the house or at an event or someone else's house, wherever you are, what will you allow in your space and what will you not? And sometimes you don't always get it right, and that's okay too. Sometimes you might find that afterwards you think to yourself, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. I didn't put my boundaries across well enough. But that's okay because that's all part of the learning curve. So I hope I've kind of explained that the tools are not to be relied upon, but they are great help to us. They are amplification of what we are. So, for example, if we're an angry person that's frustrated and has violent tendencies, using crystals isn't necessarily a good thing because that may amplify that side of you. But with another person who has those same feelings, it may help to heal them because you're an individual with an individual unique energetic print, energetic code, and so are the crystals. So the synergy between you and the crystals is unique. So when you're teaching or delivering a teaching from a higher dimensional um, consciousness, that has to be quite generalized in many ways rather than specific. And I get a lot of specific questions that I can only answer through experience myself or through the information I get from the nine, but I can't give the person the fullest response because that has to come from them. But that was that status anyway. And the important message there is your own empowerment obviously has to be the central point, and the crystals are amplifications to that. And not to get too caught up in needing to have them around you, but bring them in as part of your boundaries. And it's okay for you to want to wear those crystals as long as you're not in a state of terrible fear without them. But again, fear is a message as long as it's not controlling you and you are acknowledging it and in gratitude for it being there, and you are trying to work out why it's there, then fear is a message that something is not right in your reality. And that's a big message we're all getting right now because something is not right in our reality on a planetary level, as we all know. So I will be back with more videos and I'll look at some more of the statuses that I wrote on the social media sites and go through them. So thank you for listening and I will be back with more. Bye.